We received dozens of calls this week about power outages, and often they're caused, as you've seen, by trees falling on top of power lines. But Dominion is trying to alleviate many of these outages by putting those cables underground. Joel Vasquez on your side at 6, joining us live from Chester tonight. And Joel, walk us through why underground is so much better.
Yeah, Kurt, so the neighborhood I'm in right now actually went underground 2 years ago. Now, as you can tell, I'm in a very wooded area, and residents tell me that, trees would knock down power lines all the time. But now those power lines are underneath the ground, and if you look closely, you see that green box right there? That's actually the transformer. This neighborhood in Chester is no stranger to the occasional downed tree.
It's one of those things you always thought about when there was going to be bad weather.
Lynette Loftus has lived in this Chester neighborhood since 1987 and can recall when a storm knocked out power for days on Christmas Eve.
The whole Richmond area just had massive outages from that ice storm.
Loftus eventually had her power lines moved underground a few years ago, which came in handy when a storm brought down a tree, cutting power to the rest of the neighborhood.
There is some security in having it underground.
Dominion Energy moved this neighborhood's power lines underground nearly 2 years ago. Spokesman Craig Carper tells me it was part of their strategic underground program.
We're looking at who has the most outages.
And those areas tend to be heavily wooded neighborhoods like this one. Once the cables are underground, Carper says outages tend to be less frequent and for shorter periods of time. The program has been able to underground 11% of their grid over the past 11 years. It's a costly and labor-intensive project, which is why they can only do a few neighborhoods each year.
The end is not in sight. We're going to be doing this for quite a while.
With communication and permission from residents, crews drill into their property and run cables through, as well as move transformers into these green boxes. So you guys are moving the transformers that are on top of the poles and moving them to the ground.
That's right.
Where you guys have easy access to.
That's right.
Carper tells me after this week's storm, which cut power to 210,000 Virginian customers, they'll reassess which neighborhoods need to be moved underground.
We're always updating things, looking at what makes sense, and approaching it again in a data-driven way.
Now, Carper tells me that having underground power lines is impactful for all neighborhoods, including the neighborhoods that don't have them, because it frees up resources when there's outages. For now in Chester, Joel Vasquez, 12 on your side.
Joel.